Hey everybody, so last time I finished up the animation refactor and then I demonstrated a bug that I had found that was fairly complicated. Um, and then so after that video I fixed the bug. I found the bug, it fixed the bug, and I had also had inadvertently created another console log uh, bug, but nothing that was having any that has an effect on the front end or anything that the user could see, but it was just in the console logs. Um, and I will go over those things. But basically, I just want to demonstrate the bug is gone. So basically, in this, if you would before you animate this, then you come in here and you go to red, and then you come in here and you add a new mesh, and then you go ahead and animate the new mesh, and then come back over here and you go to X position, and now it's there. And basically, yesterday it wasn't. And the reason it wasn't is because there was the main problem was that when it got to this line of code here, um, it was uh, it was throwing an error because the property didn't exist, and the reason the property didn't exist is because it was named incorrectly. So that was one problem. But then I thought it was a good idea to add extra code here to prevent uh, the error from happening, even if the property doesn't exist, because we do have some situations where uh, it's expected that it doesn't exist, and I've talked about that in past videos um, about those situations, and that's what this error is about. It's kind of weird that it's not. Yeah. So basically, I just added extra checks in here to make sure that the three object, because basically when I was trying to get to this object all the way to the end, it was throwing an error, and then that was causing the JavaScript not to complete. Um, Basically, the problem was that instead of this being called red, green, and blue, ThreeJS calls it R, G, and B. So I inappropriately put red, green, and blue there instead of R, G, B. Um, and basically, okay, so this is a different issue. That's a different issue. And yeah, let's go ahead and get rid of this. Um, I'll save that. So nothing in the service had to be changed to fix it. And this was about the console log error, which I will go over. Here's the same issue. I changed the subproperty R, G, and B. And then here's the initial thing that I was talking about. And that fixes the bug that we were talking about. The next bug that was a real problem was this guy right here. So let me show you. I will comment out these two things. And oh man, I think this is going to be a bug that drives Angular developers crazy in the future. There's there are some bugs that you just when you work in Angular, the message is a bit confusing and it's hard to understand what you did wrong. But basically, this is an error. It's a signals error, and it's basically saying uh, that if you have an effect and then you call a function that then causes the structure, the data that fires the effect. If you fire the effect again, basically you're going to be in a circular thing. So they basically, I guess, recognize that that's probably not what you want to do, and they throw a console log error, which is cool. It's better than just having like an infinite loop. But um, and I've run into this before, and I remember and I've talked about this in several videos before. I remember in the first videos, I was like, this makes no sense whatsoever. Um, but So basically, I added some code in here that um, checks to see, okay, are we being initialized? Because basically, what the problem is inside of the toolbox component. Man, we haven't done anything in the toolbox component. We call setup camera, and then setup camera executes the code that does the effect. So in this situation, when we do setup camera, so like let's say you add a mesh, right? And then you go to the camera. Okay, setup camera has already happened and it's fine. But then let's say you come in here and you change this from a perspective to an orthographic camera. Then setup camera gets called again, and that we do want to run the effect in that situation, but we don't want to run the effect when we initially set it up. And I see this sort of thing all the time in the code. Let me go here and just for curiosity's sake, I'm going to turn on this animated, and then I'm going to turn it to an orthographic camera. I'm still pretty confused by orthographic camera in general, like why we even have it. But as you can see, as it gets closer to us, it doesn't change size, and that seems to be what orthographic does, is it ignores size when it comes to positioning. But anyways, so what I'm doing is I'm saying when the toolbox starts up, the constructor executes, and we run setup camera, then you pass in something called true, or you pass in a init, and by default init is false. So if you call it without passing in a value, it's going to be false. And then down here we say, where do we use this init? So we say if it's not init, then go ahead and publish the signal. But if it is init, don't publish it. So only publish it if we're not init. And so in this one, this is the only circumstance where I say true when it calls setup. So I'm saying, hey, I'm doing initialization. And like I said, I've done this a million times in different places for different reasons where, when you're doing the initialization, you don't want to do stuff. But if it's already been initialized, then you do want to do stuff. So, uh, and I guess that name can be because I am saying the verb I'm initializing. That's what this is. But maybe it should be like an adjective saying, is it initialized? And if depending on how you look at it, but yeah, that's one of the confusing things in code in general. So, anyways, that solves the bug and the new bug, or the bug I hadn't seen yet. And that's ready to roll. And now I'm going to, as soon as I get off this, I'm going to make a first stab at upgrading to Angular 18. I think the phrase everybody's saying right now is zoneless. Make your application zoneless. I wonder if this is all. This is gonna be a lot of work. It's gonna be a lot of work to make all these applications zoneless, and I don't know if it sure doesn't seem like it's a necessity, but unfortunately that's the way Angular's going. So and Google does have a ton of these products, and they do get to issues before everybody else does. But it's clear that they are banging that drum to make your application zoneless, and to basically be able to remove zone JS from your application. Let's see, zone.js. Yeah, so in your angular.json, they want to get rid of this. Ideally you get rid of this zone.js inside the polyfills, and then and your application still works, and that's going to be a lot of work. But anyways, happy coding, everybody. Bye.